Big Bird on the beat.
Did you vacuum yet? You can't do the goddamn vacuum. Ladies and gentlemen, school has become very popular nowadays. It's a national, worldwide occurring phenomenon, and all the kids are into it. It causes like a lot of hoopla, ruckus, and all those other wonderful adjectives. Hey, even I do school sometimes, and like, you know, I was doing school a while ago, and you guys already kind of got a sneak peek of like what happened and like what went down over there. What you guys saw was a comedic version of domestic violence. However, it's not to be taken that way. Domestic violence is a really, really serious topic. People really do die. For those of you who don't know what domestic violence is any kind of abuse, which can be emotional, verbal, economical, physical, and spiritual, against another in any kind of domestic setting or relationship. So this could include father, son, husband, wife, girlfriend, boyfriend, niece, and aunt or uncle. Any kind of relationship that could take place potentially in a home. At least in more developed countries, we understand the concept of domestic violence. We understand that it's a problem, an issue, and it has to be dealt with. However, in some countries, such as India, the Middle East, and Southern Asia altogether, the concept of domestic violence really just doesn't make sense to anyone. My question was, why is the concept of domestic violence not understood in countries such as India? Because I'm from India, so I had this question. So I reached out to one of the most knowledgeable places that I know. Ladies and gentlemen, the infamous Walmart. So now when I was asking people questions about domestic violence inside of Walmart and all these other places, a lot of them had some really, really thoughtful answers. But something that I realized was, last time when I was filming a video about homophobia, a lot of people were like, oh yeah, it's about homophobia, sure, I'll talk to you about that. But for this topic, it was really, really different. No one wanted to talk to us about domestic violence. I don't understand why. I guess that just goes to show how touchy of a topic this can be and how big of an issue it really is. However, I did still end up getting a lot of thoughtful answers out of some really, really wonderful people.
In India as well, there's some sort of domestic violence as well. You know, here in United States and North America, it's like you notice it more because it's more people will complain about it.
Most of them are housewives. So they can't earn themselves and they cannot survive themselves. So they are always depending their husbands and they will be always under men's control. So I think that's why they are suffering. Whatever is happening, they will.
Right? Usually in India, there is a domestic violence, but the partner won't even complain about it. So there is a domestic violence in India as well, but the only thing it doesn't come to the forefront because nobody complain about. Usually this is like they try to hide it. Otherwise, I think the domestic violence in India is also almost the same. That's what I think.
I know in India
So you think it's because of gender equality?
it's a part of society that people just don't do anything about it.
I also say the same thing, like I'll say more in India, but the reason is that the people don't come out and speak up like what exactly they are facing.
And it's honestly sad that women can't talk about it, not just women, also men too. They can't come out and say anything, and that's just, I guess, the culture.
I think domestic violence is equal in India as well, in the Asian countries, but they don't probably speak about it.
Well, I think one of the main reasons is because it's kind of hush-hush. It's like not really talked about and kind of like...
So when me and my friend Rishi were there, I was just looking around for someone to ask a question. I found this lady, she looked really, really wonderful. I was like, hey, do you mind if I ask you a question and just film it just for school? And then she says, sure, let me just go ask my husband to make sure it's okay. Now this I can understand. Some people feel the need to ask their significant other permission so that they can do something. And this I can for sure understand. Now I was just speaking English with that lady. I don't think that either of them knew that I could speak Hindi. However, when the woman asked if the husband was fine with us filming her, the husband replied, no, I forbid you to do this. That is one of the biggest reasons that domestic violence takes place. It's this gender inequality, these old mentality, but to see it actually happen right in front of me, I was pretty pissed off. What ended up happening was the guy was like, no, I forbid you to do this. And that's a really, really specific translation. He really said forbid in Hindi. I decided not to show them in this video for specific reasons. However, when I saw that happen, like right in front of me, I was really, really shocked. And I was kind of angry about it too. Like, you can't... See, here we have rights. It doesn't matter what race you are, what religion you follow, what gender you are. If you're human, then you have a right here. No one has the right to hit you, to beat you, to consistently make you feel bad about yourself, or to just undermine all of your accomplishments. That's wrong, right? And we understand that here. However, some people still don't, I guess. So then after me and Rishi came home, we were just chilling, and then I was like, okay, so why don't I FaceTime my friends? And I decided to ask some of them really, really similar questions. Here's what they had to say.
Basically, like, it happens over there because they're uneducated about domestic violence and they don't know what it exactly is. It's basically like happens on a daily basis. And over here, it's an issue and they know about it, so that's why they try to stop it.
No one is giving them that kind of knowledge, so that's why they keep doing it, and it's just a growing problem.
It's popular here because everyone here has conflicting opinions and different religions, and because they have freedom, it allows them to express themselves.
We have like the governments don't actually care if anything like that happens, but like over there, they don't have the same thing as us, like nobody really cares there. It's a normal thing.
There's no one really trying to solve the problem there. It's
not as many people see it as a wrongful act, whereas in developed countries, it's more secretive, and people think that it's an act that should be punished.
So basically, I think that domestic violence is not considered as a big problem in underdeveloped countries because of the lack of knowledge that they have.
So I think the reason why domestic violence isn't a very talked about subject in developing countries is because it's very frequent, and
yeah, like they have like the same lifestyle as us, because like over here in this country we have equal rights, and like we're treated differently because we have like all these laws, and we're actually like
and this is really helpful because now like as someone gets like abused, they think that's right, and it just keeps going on. It's a huge cycle. So I really think that knowledge is like the main cause.
So again, they had really, really thoughtful answers. However, there was this one friend who I started talking with who I agreed to keep them anonymous. When we were talking, they had the exact same mentality that I thought no one in my friend circle would really have. She thought it was okay to abuse her son or her brother in order to get them to stop doing something bad. And you can kind of hear what we argue.
I literally put my hand up, and then he's like, okay, I won't do it anymore.
You're an abusive sister, bro.
You're, you know what? I don't care anymore. God damn it.
Okay, so give me an example.
I did. If your son or daughter is doing something bad, which will not help them be successful in the future, then you kind of have the right to like tell them what is right, and if you have to hit them, then yeah.
So you think it's okay to use physical abuse as a means of disciplining your child?
Yeah.
However, in the end, I did end up convincing her that that is at its core domestic violence, and that's wrong. So, guys, I did something good, alright? I cured a human being. Well, what else do you want from me? Right? What did you do today? Exactly, that's what I thought. Basically, she thought it was okay to use physical abuse as a tool to discipline your children. That's when it hit me. Most of India is probably suffering from the same kind of thing, and that is the cycle of abuse. So if a father and mother were to abuse their offspring, then that offspring would eventually grow up and they would abuse their offspring. And then all offsprings just abuse each other. So also when I was FaceTiming my friends, I told them the story. I told some of them the story about the Walmart lady. Specifically, two of my friends had a lot to say about it, and here's what they said.
Oh, I said, we grow up thinking, everything that our parents say is right. We don't stop for a second and think, oh, okay, maybe I should have my own opinion on this, or it's so messed up. We're growing up with these mentalities that aren't even ours.
Right? That's basically what's happening in these developing countries now.
Yeah.
Who's gonna really tell them, like, domestic violence isn't something that's, like, really talked about. Like, you don't really go around, like, saying, oh yeah, like, I've been abused, or like someone in my family's being abused. Like, it's a really like you keep it in your house, like, you don't really talk about it kind of an issue. So that's why it makes it hard to like educate about and stuff. So, like, I feel like if they do come to Canada or, like, somewhere where it's, like, not common, like, they're just gonna start a whole new cycle. And sure, like, there's higher chance of it stopping because, like, there's, of course, advertisements and, like, sport lines and, like, a lot of things to help.
So, domestic violence is really, really serious. Now, a friend of mine, he told me his story, and I agreed to keep him anonymous for the sake of this video. It was in grade 3. My friend of mine had just come home. And then he had just written his first math test of that year, in grade 3. He just moved there, it was a new school. He ended up getting a B+ on that math test. Came home, he wasn't thinking a lot about it. And then he literally got beat up for a B+ on a math test. Ever since then, he's been striving to get the best grades that he can. He hates it whenever he gets a 3 or 3+, because that's really just not good enough for him. His parents have completely changed people. They really didn't ever hit him or anything like that after that day. That really is domestic violence, and you can think how scarring that could have been for that guy. His mentality that he has, that you can only get 4s or above, and if you get a 3 then you're worthless, really comes because of that abuse that he suffered at that young age. Now, that's just one story about domestic violence that I'm going to be sharing with you today. The second one is from someone who used to live in India. It was a while ago. So this guy, he had a younger sister, he had a father and a mother. For his whole childhood, could only remember being abused by his father and his mother. It would literally be for like the smallest of reasons. And for all of these really, really little reasons, he would end up getting beat up. And he told me the story where his father was an alcoholic at the time, and his father beat both him and his mother right in front of his little sister. And he couldn't do anything about it. He got so angry that his father was beating his mother and him right in front of his little sister that he took 2 bottles of alcohol and chucked them right into his father's room. And the glass shattered and everything. And ever since then, he says that he never had to suffer that kind of abuse again. But that kind of really just shows like how domestic violence is really, really a serious topic. Both of those boys have probably suffered mentally because of the abuse that they witnessed, because of the abuse that they took as children. So just imagine this, at least in developed nations we understand that it's a problem. However, over there, in these still developing nations, in India, in South Asia, in the Middle East, this kind of abuse doesn't only happen to children, it happens to wives, it happens in almost every single relationship that there is. That kind of just sums up domestic violence. Now don't get me wrong, we've been talking about domestic violence in India, the Middle East, and South Asia, but domestic violence happens in North America too. In fact, every minute, 20 people are abused who are in an intimate relationship. They're abused by their partner. Now this can be physical, verbal, it doesn't matter what kind of abuse it is. The fact is, it's abuse. And we have to put an end to it. So what is the solution? What can we actually do about it? I asked a couple of my friends the same thing, and what they had to say was, it is for sure a process.
Because like the thing is, the concept of domestic violence doesn't even exist there, right? It doesn't make sense to people there.
It's a process. It's such a long process. And the thing is, like, so many people have this, like, fear in the back of their mind, like, oh, like, what would happen if I spoke out?
And I really agree with them. It is a process. It might take some time. However, spreading awareness usually is the best way to stop issues such as this. Once you get rid of this old mentality that whatever is taught to you is the same, whatever is taught to you is right. Once you judge, once you have that freedom of thought, that freedom of speech to speak out against what you think is wrong, once you have that kind of mentality shift over into these areas, I really think that that's when you'll see change happen. Personally, I think that the best solution is to just simply spread awareness. Tell other people about domestic violence. Go out, do something about it. Wear a purple ribbon. Purple ribbons support the end of domestic violence. You watching the video right now, I want you to do anything that you can. Just spread awareness. All you have to do is wear a purple ribbon. So thank you guys all very much. I thank you guys with all my heart very much for watching this video. I hope you liked it. I hope you learned a little bit something about domestic violence, and if you didn't, you were probably zoned out and doing some other thing that I don't want to even guess what you were doing. You nasty. Please remember to vacuum, bro. Thank you guys all for tuning in again. I hope you guys have a wonderful day, a wonderful night, time, evening. I don't know what time it is for you right now, but I hope whatever time it is, you're having a good one, because I had a really good day today as well. Thank you. Goodbye.